Hey folks, welcome back to the Rockford Ordnance. We have our Sam-5, and if you remember in previous videos, we talked about maybe an issue with some of the Sam-5s. It's been coming up, some people have reported on it, including Misha, me, a bunch of other folks, saying, oh, it's overgassed and there's some wear happening to the tail of the bolt carrier, the bolt stem, and the back of the receiver, or some refer to it as the rear trunnion, but there really isn't a trunnion because it's a milled gun, so it's the receiver. Anyhow, I think what people worry about with this is it's a little bit of stuff they haven't seen. They normally don't see stuff going on back here. Sure, you lose paint on the bolt, the carrier, the lugs, stuff like that, right? That's normal. AK's wear in. But people haven't seen much going on in the back, and then add that the brass is ejecting super far, which, little spoiler, we didn't experience today at the range with this, and a few other things, and maybe things get blown out of proportion a bit. However, we did have some ovaling of the bolt stem, a little bit. I'll show it to you here real quick, and then we'll show you afterwards. We put a bunch of rounds down to see if it got any worse. So come on along and check it out. Hey guys, welcome back to the Rockford Ordnance. Today we are back at the range with our arsenal, and it's the 5.56, and we are going to actually put some more rounds through this gun and see if we have things come out worse or if they sort of stay the same. It's kind of a follow-up to a previous video that we did, and just want to see how things work out. I have been talking to Arsenal, and you've seen other videos out there, Misha's, where he put some more rounds through a new one and whatnot, and just gonna see what happens with ours. So come on along and let's dump a few hundred rounds. Alright, so before we get going here, I figured I would show you the gun and the parts, and so you can kind of see where we are before we put some more rounds through that. And I figured I'd start with the bolt and carrier. So here is the tail, if you can see it. And there's kind of the wear that's been going on. Not that big a deal. I don't know if you can see if it's widened out a little. Let's see. Doesn't feel like any width. Doesn't feel like, maybe a little flattening here, like here and here, barely. Here's the back of the bolt carrier. So you can see where it's been losing some paint here and there. Not a big deal. The bolt was one of our concerns. And if you look at the front, it's losing a little paint, but nothing abnormal. There's one of the lugs, and if I look close, feel around, nothing seems out of place on the lugs, anything like that. On the back there was some concern. So here's the back here, and you can see where the, let me see, make sure I got it the right way, the sides have been hitting the V in the back of the receiver. When I feel it here, so this way, it is widened out a little. It definitely gets bigger here. A little bit, not a ton. But again, you can see how it's getting a little elongated here and here. So just so we got that first. I'll show you the back of the receiver next. This may be a little harder to show with the light out here, but see if we can't get back there and see any of the paint removal or damage. Let me take a look. And really, there hasn't been any paint removed off the back here. Maybe a tiny bit. It's a little rough. Could be from manufacturing, could be from it hitting. But you definitely see it on the pointed top where it's notched out in the middle. There's a little paint removal, and it's been just splayed out a tiny bit. As far as wear on the hammer I talked about, there's that. Now this gun has I don't know, under 100 rounds. Definitely under 2. I'll go back and actually count on the videos. Anyhow, it just seems like there's a lot of wear here that's actually spread some metal there. And I realize there's a ridge there, but when I look at it, it's been spread a little. And when we get back, we'll take the hammer out so where you can see it better, and we'll show you. Up front, everything looks good. Little paint removal right there. You can see the shiny spot. Kind of normal, you know. There's not any metal really moved anywhere that I can see other than that bolt tail. So let's put this thing back together, and we'll put some rounds through it, and we'll see how it ends up, and I'll let you know how many rounds we put through it. It's already around dusk, so let's see how many I can get downrange. So today we're going to be shooting just some steel case. It's Tula, I believe. And we're going to put some steel case downrange, and then we're going to put some brass downrange too. So come on. All right, this was kind of impromptu, and didn't bring a bag with us, but no big deal. We're just shooting at 100 yards here. Kind of watching where the brass goes so I can pace it off for you guys too. Last round didn't feed. All right, I'm going to paste that brass off, or steel. All right, there's a lot of brass out, well, steel case out here somebody's been shooting, so I had a hard time finding out which was mine, so I'm going to watch now and check it out. Got it. Let's try one more. That hit the top. There we go. All right, we will pace it off. All right, guys, that was roughly 36 feet, which is frankly kind of absolutely normal for any AK variant, in my opinion. We're going to run a little more steel case. This is 62 grain hollow points, by the way, full metal jacket. gonna try a little commercial brass now. 55 grain. So definitely got a little more thump behind it. But I'm going to go pace off that and see if it went any further. Alright, as expected, that went about 2 paces further, so about another 6 feet. So let's run some more. All right, boys and girls, we are back from the range. It's actually the next day. I was a little tired when I got home and put some of it together, editing and all, but didn't get around to this part. So we put about 300 rounds through it, 60 of which were steel case, the rest were brass. Pretty close, you know. Brass seemed to be ejecting way more normally. I don't know why. A lot of it was hitting a post next to us, but even so, it was a lot. It just wasn't as far as normal, like shooting 193 or even green tip. This was just some 223 loads, so they were not as powerful, I guess, or I don't know. We had cleaned the gun really well before we went. Just a good wipe down, swab through the barrel. I guess I shouldn't say really well, just a light cleaning, and took it out. So yeah, let's see, ejection was good. Felt recoil was okay. We showed you the little bit of wear on there, and you know, the paint wear is normal. That happens. The more you shoot them, the more paint you're going to lose off the bolt, the more you're going to lose on lugs and carrier and the top of the receiver where it runs and whatnot. What isn't really normal is where the bolt stem is contacting, I'm going to say rear trunnion, but it's actually the receiver. There is no separate trunnion and receiver. It's not a stamped gun. So there is a little wear there from it hitting and starting to widen it out. I have not looked in the gun yet, and per YouTube policy, I can't disassemble it. I probably could in this case because I'm not teaching disassembly or adding something or changing the gun. We are simply looking at parts for wear. So I could, but I'm not going to risk it. So let me take this thing apart and we'll show you close-ups of it, and you can compare them to before. So I brought things in closer here so I can show you. I guess we'll start here with the Recoil Spring. Keep in mind these are similar to RPK springs, where there's not a link. They're actual telescoping rods. If this thing is off a little, it can catch and bind like that as you're putting it in usually. I have not really experienced that happening when it's in the gun, but it's not supposed to either. So everything looks normal here. Nothing doing weird things at all. It looks completely normal. So we'll kind of get past that. In disassembly, I did notice one thing, and I can't tell you if it was there before or not, But the carrier is rubbing the top cover, which I don't really experience on any other guns that I've ever noticed. And usually, if you do have one dragging or hitting on it, you hear it when you're hand racking it. And it always sounds unpleasant, but there's a spot worn right there. Hopefully you can see it. I don't know if it's showing or if the light's weird or what, but hopefully you see. It's just a small spot, but it's worn through the paint. No big deal. Probably, you know, kind of normal. Top cover, some fit snugger than others, things like that. But anyhow, so here is the bolt carrier. Now you can see compared to before, pretty dirty looking there. 300 rounds. Let's take the bolt out of it. We'll save that for last, and we'll get to the carrier. I don't see anything out of the norm on the piston head itself. Piston either, except it's really nasty. The tail, about the same, I would say. No difference. We'll show you the tail there. And I'll show from the side a little bit. That paint spot underneath missing, I believe that was there from the get-go, and that's normal. Notice the paint loss, though, on each side here. That's from hitting the back there. Normally, if this is not hitting the back, you will not get that. And I bet I could check 3 or 4 other bolts, or bolt carriers, I should say, and they don't have that wear. You may get a once in a while strike in the back, but really they shouldn't. But again, no big deal. I don't see any deformation here. It's kind of weird to look here, and I don't know if it shows up on camera, but the gold on the bottom there where it runs over the next round, since I don't shoot brass, I've never seen gold on one of my AK carriers before. Like, that's kind of weird to see the brass on there. But I will say one thing, look at the turn channel here. The groove, there is almost next to no wear in that groove. I mean, the paint is all intact. Yeah, everything looks good there, really does. So this has been the concern since the get-go, and let me get my glasses out here. Still, it's funny to see the brass on there. Paint's wearing on the lugs, as it should. AKs are meant to wear in, and that's when you get some 1,000, 2,000 rounds down the pipe, they smooth out really, really well. Every round they get a little smoother and smoother. But I don't see any metal movement. Nothing more than paint wear on the lugs. Let's see the top lug here. So again, it's wearing. I think we pointed this out a video ago or so. It's rounding here a little bit, but that's normal. I don't see anything out of whack at all. Face of the bolt looks good. Extractor looks good. The stem is wearing well. That's what I'm talking about. That's normal wear in the paint. You know, it just, as it wears in. You obviously, guns that the bolt and carrier are left in the white, like a Yugo, let's say, they tend to always look good because they don't lose any paint. There's no paint to lose. Now, what I'm really concerned about is the back here, right? Because that's where we were showing some wear. Looking at it right now, compared to when I got to the range, I'm going to say that the left side has a bit more wear, that it's been pounded some more. It could be the way the dirt or grease is laying on this back of the bolt, the pattern that's made. But the right side, I would say, has stayed the same, or yeah, I don't see anything different. The right side, or left side though, I do think there is some more there, like it's pushed it out. Is it terrible? No. But it's kind of weird to see your bolt that's supposed to be round just out of form a bit. But you can see where it's pushed the metal down and over the side, and it's very sharp and rough. Yeah, very sharp there. Not like the rest of it. But let me show you up close here and tell me what you think. You saw the first picture. If I could do a side by side here, I will. But here's the back of the bolt, and you tell me. Now what I'm concerned with is over here, and I shouldn't say concerned, I'm not concerned yet. I don't think we've put enough rounds through this gun to say if it's going to stop moving or not, but it's definitely, you know, moving on that side still. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say really not going to stop me from shooting it. I think it'll be interesting to see if it progresses anymore. So we'll get you a still picture of this, still picture of the other one, and we're going to keep shooting it and then compare it again and again and again. And when we get to so many rounds, eventually I think we're just going to say, well, she's good to go. I might be able to touch that up with a little file or something there. We'll see. But let's look at the inside of the receiver and that trigger. No change to the trigger. Inside, I wish I had a picture of the back here. It seems to have moved a little metal on the back here. I'm not really saying it's any worse, but couldn't really see it at the range there. It was dark under the cover of the benches there. So I can see a lot better here, and I'll show you here in a second. Up front, it's so dirty I can't tell anything. Yeah. That powder, man, I don't know. I fired 1,000 rounds and not had it look this bad inside. I don't remember what that stuff was. Yeah, everything looks good. I'll show you the back though. Let's see, maybe you probably can't see either with this light now, but see if you can see up in there. I don't know. I'm looking at my little screen on the camera here, so it's hard for me to tell. But, you know, in between this notch, my finger's in the notch, and it hits on that side and that side. But it really doesn't seem out of line. It really doesn't. And I'm happy to say that. I'm happy to say that hopefully it, you know, did a little bit, and that's it, like all of them normally do. I think a few things combine to cause concern in people, and that's one, wear happening back there and the bolt tail and all doesn't normally happen. Could it be a little overgassed? Absolutely, it's overgassed. Although it doesn't seem to be throwing them abnormally far anymore, but that could have been the ammunition too. We'll try a few other, I'll bring some 193 and some green tip next time and see if that changes things. But I'd like to put another 200, 300, 500, 1,000, whatever, see where it's at. But that was a solid 300 rounds, and that's where we're at. So right now, I don't see any more cause for concern or alarm, I guess would be it. Certainly not enough to stop shooting it, so we're going to continue. Everything is normal wear. Like on top of the receiver rails here, it's starting to wear the paint a little bit. Well, pretty soon that'll all be gone. That's just how it is, guys. How was it for accuracy? I was shooting at 100 with irons and small pistol targets, 12-inch targets, and I was shooting low and left on it a little. No, not like a pistol low and left, but just either where I was doing my sight picture or perhaps it needs a little adjustment because really haven't had time to mess with it much. But yeah, right out of the box, set at 100 meters. It was on paper, certainly doing its job. So, yeah, that's about it. I'm glad to see it. Don't you love Bakelite? This gun just deserves Bakelite, doesn't it? Not sold on the salmon stock and grip, but kind of makes it look cool. I just love Bakelite, though. Nothing better to me. One I don't have is the Sam-5 underfolder, and I want one so bad, but just a black one, and I want to put the Bakelite on it and a fatty Bakelite grip and be done. That's just such a sexy, sexy gun. But this is cool too. I think it'd look better with a wood stock and a Polish fatty on here. Salmon's cool, but I've never been this is the nicest one I've been able to find ever. They always get, it's soft plastic, they get chewed up real easy, and rarely do you see a nice one. In years and years of looking, this is the nicest one I've ever come across, but there's still little boo-boos like that. And I've tried rubbing them out, heating them out, whatever. It's almost like the plastic peels in a way, like this here, if you can see. That's what it does. And it's annoying. Also, these screws don't exactly fit super tight, so they keep coming loose. I'm gonna have to get some different screws. They're just not holding in the original holes that they must have used bigger screws then. But yeah, there it is, and we brought it to you. And hey, we gotta bring you the truth and show you what's up. I have not talked to the gentleman from Arsenal because I just haven't had the time to do this, and I wanted to, and just have some more facts with me. So I'm going to call him just to say hey, because he was nice enough to step up and show some concern, and that's rare in a company today. And it'll be cool to shoot the bull about some of the coolest rifles around. So that's where we're at. I'm getting ready for tonight's Coffee and Kalashnikov, so I gotta run. I'll get this video up as quick as I can afterwards, and we're gonna have fun tonight. Stop over to Coffee and Kalashnikov's Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Central Time. We talk about everything firearms, so it's cool. Come over, join the chat, and until then, thanks for everything you do, and as always, Rockford Ordnance out.